Welcome back, everybody. Apologize for the technical snafus there. Hopefully, we're going to get Ryan hooked up on this. If not, it's going to be a long last 48 minutes of our show here this morning. I'll give you a little bit of the lowdown here on Ryan. We got some highlight reel we can play as well of Mr. Babatz, who mentioned at 13 or so offers. It was as prolific as you can imagine for the young man. Nebraska was initially interested in him. He also got an offer from Wyoming. That was joined by, obviously, the Bison, Coastal Carolina, Central Michigan, Cornell, Dartmouth, Fordham, Miami of Ohio, UND, Ohio, South Dakota State, and Army were all interested. That's about as impressive as you can have for a list of offers. And yesterday, when we were visiting with his head coach, with Jackson Litterer, joined us, told us, he's only played football for the last couple of years. Only started playing football 3 years ago. Same thing when he was doing with the shot put, which he finished 7th at the state meet yesterday in that. And you look at the potential, and that's what NDSU is banking on this. That's pretty high. His former coach, Craig Lackowitzer, tweeted at me, "This guy is the best offensive line prospect in Minnesota in the 2025 class. Absolute road grader, and has only given up 1 sack and over 500 pass attempts over the last 2 years, going up against USC, the University of Minnesota, Oklahoma, UND, and NDSU commits." So he's played some high-level competition, as we talked about yesterday with Coach Litterer on the show, with what Buffalo throws out there. That's some pretty darn good competition that he faces on a weekly basis. So that alone should get if you're a Bison football fan, should certainly get you excited about, okay, the prospects of what he's potentially able to do. That's pretty darn impressive. So, again, we're working on it. Hopefully we'll be able to get him here in the not-too-distant future on the program. But we had some audio issues there that he could hear me, I couldn't hear him, and that's just what happens in live television. So we're working on that. Our engineers are feverishly and back trying to make this happen. So hopefully we'll be able to make this come about. But the point being now, the Bison now have 5 recruits in for 2025, which about average now over the last few years. They've had that amount before camp season has begun. Of course, those begin in a couple weeks. We had Zach Peters to talk about that when he was in on the show on Bison Media Zone on Wednesday to describe the offers that have come out and the commits that they have. That has been pretty much standard fare here over the last little bit. And when you're talking about the guys that they're trying to get, and let's see if we can get them back in here now, and hopefully this will work. But when they're looking at the level of commitments, and they've lost out on some guys. I mean, they're not going to get some high-level dudes. When you look at the top 10 commits or the prospects for Minnesota, state of Minnesota, for the class of 2025. I mean, the Gophers, I think, have 3 or 4 of them now because they got 2 more yesterday. The Bison have 1 in that list. I think Notre Dame is in there. I think Ohio State is in there. So it's quite the laundry list there of guys that NDSU is trying to go up against and competing up against for the class of 2025, knowing full well that P.J. Fleck is going to try and close off the borders as best as he could, and he did that over the last handful of years, maybe more so than we've seen in recent years. I'm just looking here. You look at the top guys. Top Emmanuel Carmel from Robbinsdale Cooper is committed to the Gophers. Number 2 guy from Osseo has not committed yet. Meyer Sweeney from Medina is going to Cal. Trey Boyd from Shakopee is going to Northwestern. Ryan, who you're going to hear from in a second, is going to NDSU. Cameron Bagal from Andover is going to Minnesota. Luke Emmerich from Monticello is going to Wisconsin. Colin Hansen just committed yesterday from Byron. He's going to the Gophers. Josiah Young from Totino Grace hasn't committed yet. And Ethan Stendel from Caledonia is going to the Gophers. So Minnesota has, like I mentioned, they have 4 of the top 10. The Bison are flirting around with those guys, though. They offered 3 of these guys and got 1. I'm going to see. Hopefully, Ryan can hear us now. We'll try it. Ryan, you got me?
Yeah.
There he is. All right. We got technology working. It's great to see you, man. Thanks for being patient with us. First off, congrats on the shot put yesterday. We were visiting with your coach about this another sport that you just started a couple years ago?
Yeah, I started last year.
And already in the state tournament. Tell me about that and what excites you about it and what you really enjoyed about it.
I think I like throwing because it's a fun break from doing something super physical, because I do wrestling as well. And it's just another fun way to compete. And I think it's a good way to teach you how to use your body and leverage, and gets you coordinated. And it's just another fun way to compete.
Were you pleased with what you did yesterday, or are you hoping for higher?
I really didn't do that good. I mean, I still placed. I got 7th, but I didn't throw anywhere near what I was looking to throw.
Tell us, you have the recruiting process done. I know we visited the other night when you made your commitment. What's the last couple days been like? Of just the weight off your shoulders? How you been feeling?
I've been feeling good because it's nice to kind of close it off, and because it's a stressful process, but it's a fun process at the same time, and it's kind of hard to close off some of those relationships with some of these coaches too at other schools that I really like relationships with, and just kind of, you have to do it eventually though. So,
well, give us the backstory on this. When did college football become a reality, and when did the real weight of offers start coming in? How long ago did that start?
The offers started coming in like right after my season ended, and it just kind of blew up after that. And once I got my film out there and shared it with a bunch of people, they all kind of got around.
When was college football always a goal? Was that something, when you started playing, I like it, I think I want to keep doing it?
So I started playing freshman year, and after that season, I really started putting more work in. I mean, I started lifting the summer going into my freshman year, and after that, I really started taking it more seriously. And once I started varsity my sophomore year, I kind of realized this is something I really like doing, and I kind of want to keep doing it after high school. And it just kind of went up from there.
Did it ever get, I don't know if overwhelming is the right word. Well, I'll ask you, did it ever get overwhelming? Like, holy cow, there are a lot of people that are interested in me. They want to talk to me. Like, I've never even talked to them. Did it ever get to that spot?
Yeah, sometimes there'd just be like super random schools coming to talk to me, and it's like, I've never really talked to you before, and it's like our first phone call and you're offering me. It's whatever. I mean, I'm not complaining, but
tell me about the backstory with NDSU. When did you first hear from them, and did that kind of perk your ears up knowing how good the offensive line tradition is in Fargo?
So they invited me to their camp over the summer, and I just went up to a one-day one. And then I went to a game day, and I just kept continuing my relationship with them. They came to see me in school, and one night Paul Steck gave me a call, and he just offered me.
Okay, so when the offer came through, what was the emotions on that?
I was pretty excited about it because it was a school I'm really interested in, and with it being so close to home and their rich tradition, and I had a lot of really good relationships up there, and there's other Buffalo kids up there too.
Yeah.
So
I know Wyatt Osterbauer is coming up here, and I know we were talking with Coach Litter about that yesterday. I'm sure that had to be a factor. You mentioned to me your relationship with Coach Larson. Tell me about that, about NDSU's offensive line coach, you guys bonding. How important was that for you?
Relationships are the most important thing to me in this whole process, and I just love the way he took time out of when I went up for their junior day. I love the way they took time. I spent an hour. Me and my family were just hour talking with him, and I really like that.
So
he's a really genuine guy.
Was there a timetable in mind for you? Did you want to have it done long before your senior year, or just, I'm ready to be done with all the phone calls, the direct messages. Let's make a decision.
Throughout the spring, I kind of was getting closer. I kind of had it narrowed down to a couple schools, and I just felt like it was the right time to do it, and I just did it.
What was that? What was the phone call like to Coach Polisic then on Tuesday?
I called him and he's like, "What's up, Ryan?" I'm like, "Let's do it." He was really excited. It was a fun call.
To
Exciting call.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt that. To have it done with, then like, were you able to celebrate? I know you're in the middle of getting ready for track and stuff, or are you waiting to do that to say, you know what, it's over and done with?
We didn't really celebrate that much, but because it's been a really busy week here, but we celebrated a little bit. We had some fun with it.
You do two other sports. I mentioned you do track. You also do wrestling as well. How much did that help with football, and vice versa? What do you think that wrestling helped you with football, and did football help you wrestle?
So I started football freshman year, and I started wrestling freshman year as well. And I just kind of joined it because I knew my cousin wrestled too, and he was a state champ. And I just saw what it did for him, and I've heard just from a lot of other kids that how much it helps. And I just kind of tried it out. I mean, I wasn't very good my freshman year and got a lot better sophomore year, and then had a pretty good season this year on varsity. And it definitely translates well. They both help each other out in their own ways.
Have you had a chance? I don't know if there's a group text chain with the other guys that have committed. Have you talked with the other guys that have already given their verbal commitments in your class?
Yeah, there's a little group chat that I think Coach Polisic made, but we haven't really talked that much. I mean, I haven't really talked that much with any of the kids, but yeah, we'll get that. The relationships will start coming probably over the summer.
So
some visits.
Now that this is done, are you still going to do camp stuff, or what's your immediate plans now with having this done and taken care of?
I'm going to go up to a one-day camp up there to just work with some of the other commits and Coach Larson.
Yeah.
Just get a feel for the other kids and just get a little work in with them. And I'm not doing any other college camps. So I do have this Sunday, I have like the Vikings camp, but that's not really a college camp.
Well, give us the lowdown on that. What's that about?
I think it's just kind of like an all-day thing where you go and work with like the Vikings coaches and get to hear about that and play in their facilities. And it's nothing like crazy. It's just kind of fun.
It's still pretty cool on its own right there. To have the summer kind of open up now that you have this done with, is that relief, excitement, a little bit of both?
Yeah, it's nice to have your summer back because last year I did 7 camps and
Holy cow.
It just kind of takes up the whole summer and traveling. You get sick of those long car rides.
I was going to say, so tell us where you went. I know you were in Nebraska. You went down to Nebraska. You were out everywhere. Give us kind of the lowdown of where you went last year to get you set up for this now.
I went to SDSU, NDSU, UND, Minnesota, Iowa, Iowa State, and Oklahoma.
Holy cow. That's a busy summer. It has to feel, though, when you're getting that kind of attention and that kind of interest, is it humbling as well, or is it, just give me the feelings throughout the whole process on that?
Yeah, it's exciting to get these invites and attention from these big schools. And I mean, yeah, it takes up a lot of time, but it's like a blessing because I mean, yeah, it's a little stressful. It's hard. Sometimes it doesn't go the way you want, but it's all good at the end of the day, though.
I know I asked you this the other night for people that may not have seen it. What position you feel the most comfortable at, and where's NDSU envisioning you playing at the next level?
I'm probably more of a guard. I mean, I play left tackle right now in high school, but probably more of a guard, maybe tackle. I don't know, probably guard.
The thought of now having this done and getting ready for your senior year, tell me the expectations, Fonny. Do you think, not necessarily you're a mark guy, but people on defense are going to like, all right, we got to know 59 wherever he's on the field. We got to make sure we're sending 2 guys to try and stop him up front. Give me your thoughts about your senior year now coming up.
I mean, I'll probably have I'll play with a chip on my shoulder knowing other people are going to kind of target me and try to use me in their own film and like, oh, I did this against the NDSU commit. And I'm gonna play with a chip on my shoulder, knowing I kind of have that target on my back, but it'll be fun.
The excitement level, tell me, when you're playing the competition we were talking with Coach Litter about this yesterday, when you're playing the Eden Prairies and Minnetonkas and Edinas on a weekly basis, how much do you think that helps you also? You're getting better because the guys you're going up against are pretty darn good every Friday night.
Yeah, I've played against like multiple like Power 5 commits, and I always think it's fun to not necessarily compare myself, but just see how I compete with that level of player. And I've always thought I competed well with them, even when I was a sophomore.
Last thing for you, bud. I really appreciate your patience and hooking up with us here this morning. That to go through this, I mean, on the flip side, you mentioned off the top about calling people saying, "Hey, you know what? I'm going to go somewhere else." Is that how difficult is that to do? And was it uncomfortable at times, or just what this is part of the deal?
It's really hard to, because I don't want to. My whole goal through this is never to like burn any bridges and always keep that relationship, because you never know where they'll end up in the future if you're somewhere else or in the NFL if that's your coach or something, And it's hard to tell people no, and no, I don't really want to go out on a visit, or I don't want to go to your camp, but it's all a part of the process, and they know it's part of it, and they deal with it every day. So you just got to do it.
My last thing, you keep the Bison nickname. That's pretty convenient, right? That you got to change colors, but the Bison nickname sticks around. You got to enjoy that.
Yeah. That's nice.
I appreciate the time, but thanks for sticking with us here. Have a great weekend. Congrats. And we'll talk soon, okay?
Okay, thank you.
Thanks for the time, bud. There he goes. Ryan Babatz from Buffalo High School, Buffalo, Minnesota. He is the 5th commit for the class of 2024. Appreciate his patience, and for everybody, our viewers, sticking around and got some good intel on him. And again, the list of offers is about as impressive as you want to get for a guy coming to this level of football. I read them off here. Again, Army, Central Michigan, Coastal Carolina, Cornell, Dartmouth, Fordham, Miami of Ohio, Nebraska, North Dakota, South Dakota State, Ohio, and Wyoming. On the Nebraska bit, from what I was told, and I think Coach Litter spoke on this a little bit yesterday, the Huskers, I guess, quasi-offered, and then from what I was told, stopped talking to Ryan. It happens. I think that's what Jackson was speaking to yesterday on the show, of how real an offer is, that sometimes you've got to take that for what it's at or not. But I thought that was interesting on that perspective there. But you look now of the incoming freshmen, whether it's the class that is now coming here, and you'll remember Polisic added a couple players. Matthew Stenbroten was one of them, kid out of Wisconsin. That was a late addition. He signed right before Christmas time. And then the guys that are in for the class of 2024, I believe all of them have been 3 stars, or in that 2 or 3 stars. That's pretty darn good. From Loudon Grimsley out of Iowa, Brody Clubb out of Iowa, and then James Nellis out of Wisconsin, and then the 2 Minnesota guys in Wang and Babatz have all had at least 2 to 3 stars next to their name, and all of them with FBS offers as well. Go back to Gavin, who was the first commit out of Annandale when he committed. His list was just about to get started. He's also a 3-star guy. Loudon Grimsley, who will transfer to play his final year of high school football in Sioux City. He played in a smaller school in Loudoun, Iowa. He had offers: Bison, Illinois State, Indiana, Kent State, Miami, Ohio, Northern Illinois, Northern Iowa, South Dakota, and Western Illinois. So he had a Big Ten offer there as well. The cynic will say, and I already had a couple emails on this and one comment on when we posted the story on Inforum I think Wednesday morning is when Ryan announced his commitment. Well, I'll believe it when he signs. And that, I get that mentality because, yeah, we're still a long way from signing day. We're still 6 months out. Even if they move signing day up 3 weeks, we're still 6 months out from it. It's a long way to hang on to a guy. That's why I think this time next year, there's going to be another signing period coming in at the end of June where athletes, if they're ready, can sign, and then they're locked in. There's no movement. There's no more recruiting going on. That's not to say that a guy couldn't ask to be let out of his letter of intent, and more often than not, the school is gonna do that. You're not going to force a guy to be here that doesn't want to be here. But you can end the drama of the early signing period by saying, okay, I'm ready to sign. That kid, from listening to him, he's done. I think if you were able to give him the NLI, the National Letter of Intent now, he'd sign it. I'm pretty sure with Brody Clubb and a couple of those guys we talked to, they're done. If they could sign now, they would. And I think that's the thought process behind the next signing period. It's being discussed now by the Football Oversight Committee. I would imagine sometime this summer. The AFCA is sponsored off on it. The American Football Coaches Association, they want it. That we're going to hear about it sometime this summer, that becoming reality for June of 2025. So for the guys for the class of 26 who are being offered now, they can make it official and not have to worry about it. It's going to be awfully interesting if that comes to pass. But quick shout out to our engineers and our guys in back for making that happen, and we appreciate everybody sticking through that. We will break. We come back. We've reached that time of the show. Last segment means my pops is coming up. We'll visit with my dad about a bunch of things, including how he's feeling, most importantly. We'll do that when Hot Mike returns. Back after this.